Are we live, Gopinder ji? Sarvatra Namaskar to Sarni. Namaskar. I will begin the proceedings of today's very important and historic program by two verses. The first being Namaste Sharde Devi Kashmir Purvasini Tvam Aham Prarthe Nityam Vidyadanam Chadehi. And the second one, which is by the Shaiva Yogini Mata Laleshwari, where she talks about the subtlety of realization and knowledge. Shiv Chui Zovil Zal Vaharavit Kanzan Mans Chai Likhit Kat Zindmei Vuchan Nat Kat Marthi Pan Mans Pan Kad Vyatsarit Kat. Once again, Kashmiri Namaskar. My name is Nitin Dhar. I'll be conducting today's proceedings. I will start by expressing my immense gratitude to Jonaraja Institute of Genocide and Atrocities Studies, particularly to our founder, Shri Titu Ganju, Professor Titu Ganju. Thank you, sir. To our director, Dr. Dileep Kaul, to our chairperson, Sunanda Vashishji, and to the head of Professor M.K. Teng Chair, Dr. Mahesh Kaul. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm really humbled to play this role and fulfill this responsibility today. I would like to introduce the speakers and the chief guest of today's occasion. Let me call upon stage Dr. Mahesh Kaulji, who is the head of Professor M.K. Teng Chair. And today's the event that we have today, because we are releasing the monograph of the first comprehensive research paper by Jonaraja Institute. I would like to call upon stage Shri Ravinder Gurtoo ji, who is the researcher who has conducted the research. To Dr. Dileep Kaul ji, please come up on the stage. Dr. Dileep Kaul, the director of Jonaraja Institute of Genocide and Atrocities Studies. I can't miss in his introduction that he is my guru. I'd like to call upon stage Shri Surinder Ambardarji, who is former MLC, to kindly join us and grace the occasion with your presence. And the chief guest of today's program, Shri Arvind Karwani Sahab, who is the Relief and Rehabilitation Commissioner. Thank you for joining and sharing your presence with us. Jonaraja Institute was founded in 2021 on 18th of December. And I feel that that day was a turning point in the history of Kashmiri Pandits. That was the day when, because whenever we see this, whenever any community faces such gruesome violence and continual violence and persecution for over 7 centuries, of course, the first instinct is that of survival. And then slowly and steadily, when they stand up on their own feet, they begin to realize what happened with them. And then comes a point that the community and its leaders and thinkers take a decision to make sure that they do something which ensures that such crime does not happen to anybody else ever again. And then they take steps like foundation of Jonaraja Institute, which doesn't just talk about the genocide of Kashmiri Pandits, but also democratizes the knowledge and education about genocide studies all across the world. I'm very proud to also share with you that since 2021, about 160 scholars have graduated from Jonaraja Institute of Genocide and Atrocities Studies in 4 batches. of which I was also one of the students in the institute. We'll begin the program by the sacred lamp lighting, the Deep Prajwalan. So I'll just invite everybody on the stage to kindly get up for the Deep Prajwalan. And I'll also request, there are many notable people in the audience. I'll request, first of all, Professor Titu Ganjuji, and there are some very senior leaders in the audiences. I'll request Kuldeep Rana ji, Beharlal ji, kindly join us for the Deep Prajwalan. And we have Lenin ji, kindly join us. Please join us, Bhushanlal ji. And I must also very warmly welcome, we have Sri Ratanlal Shanji with us. Thank you so much for your presence today. And I have gone through the study thoroughly, and you have played a very important role in it. You have expressed your views, and we really value you for that. So kindly join us for the Deep Prajwalan. Dr. R.L. Bhat ji, kindly join us for the Deep Prajwalan. Thank you. Professor B.L. Zuchi ji, I will request you to also kindly join. We also have Sri Ramesh Hangluji. I request you also to kindly join. Director Radio Sharda. Thank you. I'll just request my team to kindly provide the matchbox. It was lying there. I think somebody might have picked it up. Anybody? Can anybody help with the matchbox?
Right.
This is indeed a very historic moment, and I request you all to join me in the prayer. Saraswati Mahabhagye He Vidya Kamlalochani Vishwarupe Vishalakshi Vidyam Dehi Ma Saraswati Asuto Ma Sadgamaya Tamso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor Ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May the light of the sacred lamp defeat and defy the darkness of ignorance. May it illuminate our society with knowledge and education and realization. And may the fire of this lamp also burn the darkness and defeat the darkness of untruth, of conspiracy, and of crimes like genocide. In the beginning, I would like to request and call upon the stage Dr. Mahesh Kaulji, who's the head of, as I mentioned, the head of Professor M.K. Teng Chair, to kindly come on the dais for the keynote. Thank you.
Namaskar. Dignitaries on the dais, esteemed Relief and Rehabilitation Commissioner, Dr. Karwani, our dear friend and elder brother, ex-MLC Sundar Ambazar ji, esteemed Dr. Dileep Kaul and respected Gurtoo Sahab. There are so many dignitaries, friends, comrades in the audience. I cannot name one and all. But it's indeed a privilege to address you. I will be bilingual in my address because I think it's better to connect than to be in a monologue. Before setting the ball rolling, as you know, this is an event which has been organized to release the monograph Decivilisation, Displacement, Indic Reflections on Social Death by Shri Ravinder Gurtoo ji and analytically, you can say, internalized and interpreted by our esteemed Dr. Dileep Kaul, who is the director of the Jonaraja Institute. As all of you know that, as Nitin already said, Jonaraja Institute of Genocide and Atrocities Studies was created for grassroots primary research to create a new momentum in the displaced Kashmiri Pandit community so that we can give our perspective on genocide interpretation. But it will be wrong to say like that. Then ultimately we deliberated the same day and we came up with a very important chair. And even I was not knowing that I was going to head it. It was a very spontaneous decision at the spur of the moment. I was wonderstruck whether I am worthy of holding it, Professor M.K. Teng Chair. As you know, Dr. Teng has been one of the pioneers and one of the foremost original political thinkers and political scientists of the country who has remained unsung in the annals of Indian history. I'll be blunt here that if Dr. Teng has not been awarded or recognized by the Indian state, it is the misfortune of the Indian state. So, मैं ये बात करना चाहता हूँ कि जो चेयर थी, it was created to pay tribute to Dr. Teng in a sense that we wanted to create researchers who will be from the community or outside the community, but it has taken it too long to come out with a study. But I think that quality matters, not the quantity. जोनराजा इंस्टीट्यूट के बारे में थोड़ा सा आपको ब्रीफ करूंगा कि अभी तक हम कर क्या चुके हैं. It's just a curtain raiser and then I will come into the normal mode. So far, Jonaraja Institute has done workshop on genocide studies with focus on Kashmiri Pandit genocide in the University of Texas, Austin. Almost 100 undergraduates and graduates have participated in it. It's an achievement. Then a very important paper on the continual genocide of Kashmiri Pandits, which includes the 7 stages in Sankalp. It was organized by Hindu Yuva organization in Los Angeles, California. And 80 universities in USA and Canada participated. Then a keynote was also delivered in Rice University, Houston, on the theme, Indic View of Genocide Studies, Why are Genocides of Eastern Hemisphere Forgotten? That's very important. Because so far and so forth, there are deliberations, there are interpretations, there are methodologies which are based on Eurocentric approach. I won't mince words in saying they are Abrahamic in approach. And we are giving an alternate counter view, counter research paradigm. Then presentation of case studies of Kashmiri Pandit genocide, role of Jonaraja Institute in chronicling genocide, advocacy forum titled Combating Genocide, Denial with Active Remembrance, and ultimately presentation at University of America about the Jonaraja Institute. And I'm really feeling privileged to announce that Jonaraja Institute is shortly on the verge of signing an MOU with the HUA. Okay, and then PAVAK, which is one of the important journals of the Institute, has come out with 32 papers so far. And it has been presented to various dignitaries with a yearbook that includes the Chief Justice of India. And shortly, we are coming with the second study by Dr. Neha Kastu on socio-economic changes in Kashmiri Pandits post-Exodus. That was a brief introduction. जो बात मुझे करनी है वो मैं करना चाहता हूँ अब बिल्कुल क्लैरिटी से उसके बाद पेपर पर आऊंगा। अभी तक जितना भी कश्मीरी पंडित जेनोसाइड की बात हुई है, उसमें सारा जो अप्रोच रहा, that has been governed by certain shortcomings, and it goes to the credit of Jonaraja Institute कि उन्होंने ये आइडेंटिफाई किया कि हम लैक कहां कर रहे हैं। जेनोसाइड जिसको आज तक डिफाइन किया गया, that was within the paradigm of Jewish Holocaust. There has been Armenian genocide, there has been genocide in Bosnia and Herzegovina, और हर जगह पर जो पर्सपेक्टिव था, जब हम उसको देखते हैं टोटलिटी में, वहां पर हमारा जो इंडिक पर्सपेक्टिव है मिसिंग था। यहां पर एक और बात लाना चाहूंगा कि श्री अरबिंदो इज वन ऑफ इंडियन फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल ऋषिज ऑफ इंडिया। While doing his sadhana and while researching on Indic perspective, he said that we won't be able to arrive at our destiny if we won't adopt Indic tools for our research, even in spirituality. And what to say about the political science and crimes on humanity? So, इस बात को ध्यान में रखते हुए हम इंडिक टूल जब तक नहीं लगाएंगे वो काम नहीं होगा। ये स्टडी वही चीज को एस्टैब्लिश करती है। हम लोगों ने बार बार ये भी कहा कि ये जेनोसाइड एक छोटी टर्म है, इट्स जस्ट अ कंपोनेंट ऑफ द ह्यूमन परसिक्यूशन। मैं तो यहाँ पर आज ये भी कहूंगा, जैसे इस स्टडी में भी बड़ा क्लियरली ये बताया गया है कि जेनोसाइड इज जस्ट वन ऑफ द कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ द जेनोसाइड, जिसमें आपकी कल्चरल परसिक्यूशन है, आपकी सोशल परसिक्यूशन है, बड़ी सारी चीजें हैं, लेकिन उसके बाद भी ये एड्रेस नहीं होता। इट्स ओनली द मटेरियल एस्पेक्ट दैट जेनोसाइड एड्रेसेस। लेकिन इसका कारण क्या है? एक डिसेंसिटाइजेशन की प्रोसेस जो डॉक्टर टेंग भी कहते थे, वो हमारे सिमेंटिक्स में घुस चुकी है। लेट मी टेल यू दैट संस्कृत इज नॉन ट्रांसलेटेबल। डॉक्टर दिलीप कौल विल एग्री विद मी। संस्कृत इज नॉन ट्रांसलेटेबल and Abrahamic languages cannot give the appropriate synonym for the Indic terms. So rightly, it was Jonaraja who basically gave the correct paradigm and the ecological concept of what has happened to Kashmiri Pandits, and we have to define ourselves according to that, and that is Jati Vidvans. When you say Jati Vidvans, it includes everything from social persecution, economic persecution, religious persecution, other persecutions included. And when we see this in totality, it's Jati Vidvans. Henceforth, when we Kashmiri Pandits try to define our tragedy, sum up our tragedy, it's better to use the word Jati Vidvans. Because my feelings that genocide and Holocaust have been bracketed with Eurocentric things, like Jewish genocide and all that. So the point is that we have to be very, very particular about this. And definitely, there is a cartel working to downplay it. And I would like to add one more thing, that genocide is not only the killing of the group, even if one person having affinity for certain cultural values is persecuted, whether in terms of weaponization of language, weaponization of idioms, it's genocide. जब हमारी कश्मीरी पंडित बहन, माँ या बेटी कश्मीर में निकलती थी तो उसको कैसे टॉन्ट किया जाता था? बटनी बटनी दोदे मासी के गोरथम दाली गडवस। It was weaponization of the language. It was weaponization of the language. We took it lightly. But this weaponization of language led to the weaponization of the ecosystem. And this ecosystem, when it was ruptured, led to an unhinging from Kashmir. In gradual phases. Enemy knows what it is doing. So when we were thrown out of our habitat, it was not a law and order problem, though it was perceived like that, interpreted like that. So when state also remains silent, terrorist groups ने जो किया सो किया, that was well defined, that is genocide. लेकिन जब state भी silent हो जाती है तो एक term और add हो जाती है जिसको हम democide कहते हैं. Kashmiri Pandits are victims of both genocide and democide. There will be more terms which will come out from time to time. और इसलिए जाति विध्वंस elaborate term. हमारे बारे में यहाँ पर कई लोगों को ज्यादा पता भी होगा, कईयों को नहीं भी होगा. Kashmir has not only one Rajtarani. Rajtarani by Kalhan, Jonraj, Shribar, Pragebatan, Shuk. We have a well-defined documentation of our persecution, well-defined, you can say, vandalization and disruption of our Sanskrit ecosystem. ये सारी चीजें हमारे पास हैं. और जब हम इस चेयर से बात करते हैं, क्योंकि मेरे ऊपर ये जो जिम्मेदारी है, ये जो दायित्व है बहुत बड़ा है, क्योंकि डॉक्टर टेंग के शूज में एंटर करना बहुत मुश्किल काम है. ही वॉज अ सिविलाइजेशनल फिगर एंड बड़ी जिम्मेदारी के साथ जो डॉक्टर टेंग ने एक एनालिसिस दिया, जो उन्होंने ईडीएम गढ़े, जो उन्होंने प्राइमरी रिसर्च किया, वो आज की डेट में फ्रैक्टिफाई हो रहे हैं. प्रोफेसर टीटू इज हियर, ही मस्ट हैव रेड द व्हाइट पेपर ऑन कश्मीर, द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल हिस्ट्री ऑफ जम्मू एंड कश्मीर, आर्टिकल 370 मिथ ऑफ ऑटोनॉमी. इन्हीं रास्तों से तो बात हुई. जो 370 आपका हटा, वो कैसे हटा? इवन इन पार्लियामेंट्री डिबेट्स में अगर आपने स्पीचेस सुनी होंगी, तो मुझे लगा कि वो डॉक्टर टेंग के रास्ते से निकल गई. किस आर्टिकल से, कहां से, वो अलग बात है, उनको एक्नॉलेज नहीं किया गया. एक्नॉलेज इसलिए नहीं किया गया कि हमें अपने लोगों के काम के बारे में पता ही नहीं, और हमने पढ़ना भी छोड़ दिया. और जब मार्गदर्शन रेजोल्यूशन की बात करते हैं, दैट वाज वन ऑफ द, यू कैन से, monumental documents, not of the community, but I say of the India. मार्गदर्शन रेजोल्यूशन का एक एक वर्ड अगर आप देखेंगे, इट्स अ वेरी क्रिस्प, वेल क्राफ्टेड डॉक्यूमेंट. उसमें जो तब तो आईडीपी पर गाइडलाइंस भी नहीं थी. यू कैन इमेजिन द आर्किटेक्ट्स एंड डॉक्टर टेंग बीइंग वन ऑफ द प्राइमरी आर्किटेक्ट्स. उन्होंने एक एक लफ्ज को जो उसमें गढ़ा है, all the community must read it. And Margdarshan is not the, I must say with my front foot forward, any individual document. It's the document of the community, and community must embrace it. A myth has been created. It had the support of left, right and center of the community, if you must say. Your character is sabotaged. Your enemy knows where to hit you. And sorry to say, the Indian political class, it collaborated with the enemy. And it collaborated with the enemy in a sense across the party lines. That would be forced to repeat what Dr. Teng used to say, that Indian state is in conflict with the Sanskrit Indian nation. And still it is there. The day Indian state will realize that there is a pincer movement in the Himalayas to unhinge the Sanskrit force. It's not only Kashmiri Pandits. I was going through certain other studies that in the Himalayas we have seen, जब हम लोगों को निकाला गया उसी टाइम भूटान में क्या चल रहा था, नेपाल में क्या चल रहा था. ये जो एक जहादी क्रिसेंट की लड़ाई, इसमें क्या ग्रेट गेम चल रही थी. The great game 2.0 is being unfolded in the Himalayas. ऐसी स्थिति में हम कहां पर? Only alleging each other and leg pulling is not going to solve the issues. Recently, my younger brother Vishwaranjan went to Geneva. It's an achievement, we should applaud him. That's how we want to create our youngsters. We need more such youngsters to come up. My age group is also entering the middle age now. Our seniors, they have already done their job. It's a chain reaction. There has to be a force multiplier. And I will not mince my words today, I am very clear. Pakistan was not created by some mobs, it was created by Aligarh Muslim University. Yes. And you should learn from your enemy. If you want to achieve your homeland, you need to have your Aligarh. You need to have educated people. You see how enemy uses the subverted weapon to create the ecosystems. Why not we? Or we will be able to go to a place which has lost of civilizational moorings. So we have to understand this. The battle is not only a political battle, it's an academic battle. It's a battle of discourse. It's a battle of narratives. It is the battle of nerves. It's the battle of wits. You have to be force multipliers. Let different people work in different fields. Each arm has to complement and supplement the main arm. Kashmiri Pandit return and rehabilitation is not hostage to law and order. Kashmiri Pandit return and rehabilitation is hostage to otherness of civilizations. We belong to water civilization, the civilization of progression. We don't belong to desert civilization, the civilization of regression. Progressive people. And it's a deliberate move to denigrate KPs at times. We have to counter that. And Jonaraja Institute is equipped to do that. We are basically taking steps to create a new human resource that's not only awakened. वो केवल जागरूक नहीं है, लेकिन उसको प्राइमरी रिसर्च का भी पता होना चाहिए. लेकिन आज जो हमारी स्टडी है वो टोटली डिफरेंट तरीके से आई है. हम यंग जनरेशन को कहते हैं गुरटू साहब जैसे हमारे वरिष्ठ नागरिक भी हैं, लेकिन आई कैन सी ए enthusiasm of a 25-year-old in him. He has come out with this study. This is an inspiration for youngsters. He is not from political science or history, but today, when we are talking of NEP and all that, interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary approach is very important. So I request, this is a message from this podium to my youngsters who are in universities, who are in colleges, that when you are asked to do some dissertations in social sciences or in management, relate it to with your Jati Vidwans. You have ample stories to tell. From Jagti to New Jersey, we have innumerable stories to tell. And each story talks about the Jati Vidwans. So, we have to assess that it needs many dimensions. Cultural front पर हम काम कर रहे हैं, हमारे लोग कर रहे हैं, we welcome them. Social front पर कर रहे हैं, बिल्कुल सही कर रहे हैं. Political front पर कर रहे हैं. लेकिन after all that, the whole battle is about reclaiming your ecosystem, your ecology. That's what this study is about. The enemy captures your mind space. Your mind space पर जब कब्जा होता है तो आपको सिर्फ material gain के ऊपर ध्यान रहता है. Since it's a learned gathering, we should also strive to get the nomenclature correct. We are being addressed as migrants, but we are not migrants. We are not migratory birds who have come from Siberia to other destinations to seek our this food grains and all that. We are victims of Jati Vidwans when ecology was violated. We have not come out of for free will. There was a minister in the cabinet who was holding cultural portfolio, and she said that जब उसको पूछा गया कश्मीरी पंडित कैसे वापस जाएंगे, उसने कहा कोविड के टाइम में जैसे माइग्रेंट लेबर आए थे वैसे भी चले जाएंगे. This tells the apathy of the Indian political class. जब 90s में मूवमेंट चली थी, let me be very blunt, there were people in different institutions, हमारे लोग थे, they used to support in different ways. चाहे वो दफ्तर में बेचारे जाते थे, लेकिन वो मूवमेंट को सपोर्ट करते थे अपने तरीके से. that spirit has to be reignited. Wherever we are, we have to rally behind each other. We are not a political vote bank, but we are the people who define the politics of India. We are an election issue, but we are not vote bank issue. इसलिए Parsis are a best example. Parsis are a best example. A minuscule group, group, but they call the shots. Use the shot these. They are making their mark in India. We have contributed much to this motherland. कोई आसान नहीं कर रहे हैं. लेकिन denial, trivialization, now it's not acceptable to this generation. लोग कह रहे हैं young generation काम नहीं कर रही है. Digital generation is more active than the generation which is accusing them. And you will see the results in coming times. This silent generation is acting like a volcano and it will erupt. And it will erupt very violently through scholarly means, because scholarship is our USP. Education has saved us, but the education should be for the community welfare also. We have to pay back to the community. एक और मैसेज यहाँ से मैं देना चाहता हूँ. That till 90s, many people will agree or disagree. Having quota in Maharashtra may have been very important. But now time has come to diversify. We need people as political scientists, we need historians, we need architects, we need designers, we need historians, because if we have to combat this narrative, otherwise we won't be able to do it. We need journalists. That's why we need more institutions. Let us be the institution builders. Let us encourage our children to take the diverse fields so that there is a kind of progression in the community. बहुत हो चुका, एक stagnation आ चुकी है, and that's where we are seeing a kind of a cesspool being created. We have to diversify. We are also aware there are people from Jagti, a message to them also. We know what's happening there. What are the challenges there? What are the challenges of a concentration camp? It happens. Community has not abandoned you. There's a message for the people who are left over in Kashmir. We have not abandoned you. There's a message for our employment people who are there working. We have not abandoned you. We have to work in phases. Nobody is a pariah for us. This misunderstanding, the people who are creating this misunderstanding in the community are fifth columnists, subversives, quislings, and showboys. If you want me to say more names, I can call them more names. We have to be very blunt on that. Nobody is a pariah in the community. After Exodus, it has been proven, whether you are close to enemy or not, for him you are a Kashmiri Pandit, you are a Kafir. So, let us rally behind. This study is very important, very meticulously designed, but I have only one submission. I have read this study very minutely, that in future studies, more academic perspectives should be included, and otherwise it's a very fine study. This is a very good start to work at, and I hope that this study is also translated into Hindi at least, so that it walks to the Hindi belt. And it will be a game changer. When Dr. Dileep is patronizing anything, I know how meticulous, how committed he is, a very silent scholar, but a live dynamo. He has inspired many, he will keep on inspiring many. I am too young to him, but it gives me pleasure to sit beside him. He gives a lot of energy. And many elders, Sir Kuldeep ji, I can see him, who has always motivated us. Biharlal ji here, Lenin ji here, they are all, Handu Sahab is there, Sanjay Rana ji is there, Jalali Sahab is there, they all motivated us. We have very great elders. That legacy has to be continued. Vande Mataram. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mahesh Kaulji, for that keynote speech, which has really got this program kick-started, and I hope that now the context of the event and the research study that has been done is very well established. We'll now move to the release of the monograph. I'll request my team to kindly get the copies that are to be released, and I'll request everybody on the stage to kindly get up for the release of the monograph. I also request Shri S.K. Handuji to kindly join the release along with Sanjay Raina ji. Kindly join us for the release. I'll also request Sandeep Emma ji, especially who has come from Dubai for this event, to kindly join us and grace the occasion with his presence. Kuldeep Rana ji, kindly join us. Dailal Kaul ji, Lenin ji, please join us. Please join us. Aye, sir. Bhushanlal ji, please. Sir. Sanjay Dhar ji, kindly join us. Titu sir, aye. Shri B.L. Jalali ji, I request you to also join us. Sir, Titu sir, please join us. Shadilal Kaul ji from Shri Premnath Bhat Memorial Trust, kindly join us. And Dileep Pandita ji from Mata Bhadrakali Temple Trust, please join us. So that's the monograph of the first comprehensive research study by Jonaraja. I request all of you to give it a huge round of applause. Special congratulations to Sri Ravinder Gurtoo ji and Dr. Dileep Kaul ji for pioneering this initiative and such a critically important research paper. A huge round of applause. It's very important, I feel, to establish how important the role of academia and education plays in the cases like genocide crime, and especially for the victims and survivors of genocide. हमने आमतौर पे देखा है जब इस तरह की प्रताड़ना किसी समाज के ऊपर आती है, खासकर जैसे हमारे समाज के ऊपर पिछले 700 सालों से हम एक प्रताड़ना के शिकार हो रहे हैं. We are the victims and survivors of continual genocide. अगर आप एक दिन में बैठ के काउंट कर रहा था कि जो हम 7 mass displacements की बात करते हैं, अगर हम रफली अंदाजा लगाएं कि इसमें कितनी generations खप चुकी हैं, I came to the very modest figure of 21 generations. 21 generations of Kashmiri Pandits have sacrificed everything, included their life, so that we could exist, so that we could talk about them. They sacrificed their lives so that we today could talk about their stories and the story of our survival. And what academics does in this case is that it gives hope and self-confidence to the victims and survivors. It gives a very new kind of confidence to the victim, where the victim starts realizing that there is no need to be hopeless and there is no need to feel any sense of belittlement. In fact, when a survivor reads about the crime, educates herself or himself and the society, the community then comes to a realization of entitlement of justice, where they look in the eye of the powerful and they don't just demand justice. They tell the Indian state, in our case, and any powerful establishment, they look into their eye and make them feel the obligation of delivering justice. That is what academics does. That is what education does. That is what research does. Without research, any slogan, whether it is a slogan for justice or even for homeland in our case, it's a hollow slogan. It is the research, it is the studies like these, it is the discourse and conversations like these that give strength and, most importantly, meaning and legitimacy to those slogans. I would now like to introduce Dr. Dileep Kaul and request him to join us and talk about this research study. But before that, I would like to specially mention his role in Jonaraja Institute. There are very few people that bring a kind of hope and change that Dr. Dileep Kaul has brought. There are very few people who don't take activism as a business of sloganeering or just going on protests, which also has its own. I mean, all of us go on protests, we do demonstrations and everything. But his quiet work and devotion to research, as I mentioned earlier, gives meaning and legitimacy and seriousness to those slogans and demonstrations and protests. He is somebody who led Jonaraja Institute from the front and created an ecosystem and created a circle where scholars would come together. We would learn from him about genocide and, most importantly, the Indic perspective on genocide. I would also like to introduce him as probably the first person who has been so successful in popularizing the Indic perspective on genocide, probably the first person in the world to do so. The first person in the world who has taken the discourse and narrative of genocide out from the narratives that are otherwise propagated in the world. Say, for example, we have all heard and read about the Jewish Holocaust. And we do draw comparisons of Kashmiri Pandit genocide with the Holocaust, like we call the 19th January as Holocaust Day and so on. But it's so important to tell our own story in our own language and through, most importantly, through the recorded testimonies of personalities like Pandit Jonaraja,
हैं प्रोफेसर रतनलाल शाह जी, वो भी यहाँ पर हैं, हमारे जिनके कारण हम जिंदगी को समझे, एक्टिविटी को समझे, एक्टिविज्म को समझे। बिहारी लाल कौर जी हैं, कुलदीप रैना जी हैं, भूषण लाल जी हैं, और ये सब लोग, ये और भी लोग हैं सामने बैठे हैं, दर्शक साहब बैठे हुए हैं। तो मतलब इतने सारे लोग हैं, इतने सारे टीचर्स और इतने सारे स्टूडेंट्स के बीच मैं अपने आप को एक अजीब स्थिति में पा रहा हूँ। It's a kind of very emotional situation. So, but that is what Titu sir has taught us, to deal with emotional situations, because in the beginning I was very emotional about it, and very emotional about genocidal situations that were perpetrated on us. But Professor Titu Gurtoo said that as Jonaraja, Pandit Jonaraja, has written, and he has written our history, written about our the atrocities committed on us. He said that उनका लिखा हुआ आज हमारे काम आ रहा है, तो ऐसा कुछ कीजिए कि आपका लिखा हुआ आगे हमारी जनरेशंस के काम आए। तो इस तरह से प्रोफेसर टीटू गंजू ने ही ये एकेडमिक कल्चर खड़ा किया, जिसको हम आज आप देख रहे हैं। हमारे गुरुदेव यहाँ पर हैं, टीटू गंजू जी, और मैं हूँ जो उनका शिष्य है और मेरी शिष्य है। तो यहाँ हम 3 एस्पेक्ट्स देख रहे हैं, 3 लेयर्स देख रहे हैं शिष्यों की। और यहाँ मैं ये भी बताना चाहूँगा कि यूएस में जो हमारी चेयरपर्सन मैडम बैठी हुई हैं, उन्होंने सुनंदा वशिष्ठ जी, उन्होंने कई अमेरिकन यूनिवर्सिटीज में इस बारे में इंडिक पर्सपेक्टिव को लेकर एजुकेट किया वहाँ के लोगों को, जो इंडियंस थे वहाँ पर और नॉन इंडियंस भी थे उनके यहाँ। और इस स्टडी के बारे में, जो ये स्टडी है जिसका आज विमोचन यहाँ पर हुआ, ये दूसरी स्टडी है जो स्टैंडर्ड स्टडी इंटरनेशनल इस पर्सपेक्टिव में इंटरनेशनल डिजाइन और मॉडल के अनुसार की गई है। पहली स्टडी जो हमारी एक विद्यार्थी है इंस्टीट्यूट की, शी इज अ प्रोफेसर इन न्यू मैक्सिको यूनिवर्सिटी, प्रोफेसर रेनिता मजूमदार, शी इज अ प्रोफेसर ऑफ फिलोसफी। तो उन्होंने सबसे पहले स्टडी की थी, जो एक ऑर्गेनाइज स्टडी थी, वो थी कंपैरेटिव जीनोसाइड स्टडीज में, कि शी हैड कंपेयर्ड द concept of perpetratorhood, जो कि जीनोसाइड के जो कंसेप्ट्स हैं, वो पंडित जोनराज, हैना एरेंट और रैफेल लैम्किन, इनका कंपैरिजन किया था उन्होंने। और वो जो बहुत ही प्रोफाउंड स्टडी थी, क्योंकि कंपैरेटिव जीनोसाइड स्टडीज में तीनों को पढ़ना पड़ता है, इट्स अ वेरी डिफिकल्ट काइंड ऑफ जॉब। और ये जो अभी की ये जो स्टडी है, जो रविंद्र गुर्टू जी ने की थी, एंड आई वाज अमेज्ड टू सी कि जब उन्होंने कहा हमारी क्लासेस में, जो मैंने सोशल डेथ के बारे में बात की थी, तो उन्होंने कहा मैं रिसर्च करना चाहता हूँ। तो मैंने कहा बिल्कुल कीजिए, इसलिए इंस्टीट्यूट है। तो उन्होंने कहा कि मैं सोशल डेथ पर रिसर्च करना चाहता हूँ, कि कीजिए। मतलब ये एज द डायरेक्टर ऑफ द इंस्टीट्यूट मैं ये नहीं कह सकता मत कीजिए, डिफिकल्ट है। तो डिफिकल्ट उन्होंने किया, तो मैंने कहा डिफिकल्ट बहुत काम है और फील्ड स्टडी करनी पड़ेगी। उन्होंने कहा मैं तैयार हूँ। तो मैंने कहा मुझे क्या करना होगा। मैंने कहा कि क्वेश्चनियर आपको तैयार करना है। एंड ही केम अप विद द क्वेश्चनियर, और उन्होंने कहा कि इसको इवैल्यूएट कीजिए, क्या क्वेश्चनियर ठीक है। तो there was not even a single correction done. जिनके पास रिसर्च का कोई एक्सपीरियंस नहीं और इस तरह की रिसर्च का कोई एक्सपीरियंस नहीं है, उन्होंने अपनी इनमेट एबिलिटीज पर, अपनी इवैल्यूएशन पर इसको किया। और जो ये स्टडी है उसी क्वेश्चनियर पर बेस्ड है। और उनके पास जो फील्ड स्टडी होती है, इसमें बहुत ही फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग मोमेंट्स आते हैं, क्योंकि उनके पास काफी समय तक कोई रिस्पॉन्स नहीं आया। और जब रिस्पॉन्स आया तो इट वाज वेरी स्मॉल सैंपल, there was just 23 or 24 people, but there were women, men and boys also, 30 वर्ष की आयु के लोग थे और सबसे बड़े जो थे वो प्रोफेसर शांत थे एंड ही वाज एन एसेट दैट वे, क्योंकि छोटा सैंपल जो है इसको वैलिडेट करने के लिए हमें एक एक्सपर्ट की जरूरत होती है कि क्या ये ओपिनियंस जो इन रेस्पोंडेंट्स ने दिए हैं क्या ये वैलिड हैं। तो वी वर अमेज्ड टू सी कि ये जो डिफरेंट एरियाज के लोग थे, ये बडगाम के थे, ये कुछ श्रीनगर के थे, प्रोफेसर शांत खुद श्रीनगर के हैं, ये गांव से थे, अनंतनाग के थे, छोटे कस्बों से थे, गांव से थे, बडगाम से थे, पर they were amazed to see कि गांव के लोग जो थे इनमें ऐसी एनालिटिकल एबिलिटी है कि ऐसी एनालिटिकल एबिलिटी है that ability almost matched what our expert respondent had given। तो उनका अपना एनालिसिस था और प्रोफाउंड एनालिसिस था और उनके नाम और उनका एनालिसिस को इंक्लूड किया गया है इस स्टडी में और ये इट इज डायरेक्ट फ्रॉम द हॉर्सेस माउथ कि जिसके साथ गुजरी है, जिसने ये देखा है उसने, क्योंकि जेनोसाइड में जो पहली बार होता है एनालिटिकल एबिलिटीज, एनालिटिकल ट्रेडिशन वो खत्म हो जाती है। आप क्यों एनालिसिस करेंगे जब आपको जिंदगी का कोई भरोसा नहीं है, आपको ये भरोसा नहीं है कि सुबह मैंने खाना खाया शाम को मिलेगा या नहीं, आपके पास पानी कहाँ से मिलेगा इसका वो नहीं है। तो लाइफ का जो मटेरियल एग्जिस्टेंस है वो बेसिक बात होती है, लेकिन इसके बावजूद हमारे पास 24 रेस्पोंडेंट्स थे जो ये एनालिसिस कर रहे थे और उनमें लेडीज भी थी और ये लेडीज गांव की भी थी, ये ऐसा नहीं है कि वो सिर्फ शहर की थी। तो इसने सबसे पहले एक मिथ तोड़ा कि जो कश्मीर में होता था गांव वाले बैकवर्ड होते हैं, ऐसा नहीं है। एनालिटिकल एबिलिटीज अभी भी सिर्फ आप देखिए सिटी के लोग जो हैं दे आर वेरी कैरियर ओरिएंटेड, वो कैरियर में बहुत ऊंचे हैं, लेकिन गांव के लोगों में एनालिटिकल एबिलिटी अभी बाकी है और वो प्रोफाउंड एनालिसिस कर सकते हैं। तो ऑल मिथ्स वर ब्रोकन, so we are alive, जैसा कि कहा जाता है, we are alive because of our villages, so this community exists because of our villages। सिटी तो खैर पावर सेंटर होती है, वो ठीक होता है, लेकिन ये मैं उन सभी जो रेस्पोंडेंट्स इस स्टडी में थे उनका मैं व्यक्तिगत रूप से आभार प्रकट करता हूं कि उन्होंने अपनी एनालिसिस से इस स्टडी को प्रोफाउंड बनाया है और शायद उनमें से कुछ यहाँ पर मौजूद है। हाँ, तो जो भी यहाँ पर है मैं उनका पर्सनल उनको नमन करता हूँ, उनका आभार प्रकट करता हूँ। तो ये सब मैं फिर से याद दिलाना चाहूंगा कि कल्चर का जो क्रिएशन है, ये कल्चर इस तरह का एकेडमिक कल्चर, और इस स्टडी के माध्यम से हम इस सोशल कल्चर तक बढ़े हैं कि हम अपने रेस्पोंडेंट्स को, जो हमारे ही अपने कम्युनिटी के मेंबर्स हैं, इन रेस्पोंडेंट्स का हम आभार प्रकट कर रहे हैं और ये हमारे लिए बहुत ही एनकरेजिंग बात है, पूरी कम्युनिटी के लिए एनकरेजिंग बात है कि हमारी कम्युनिटी में अभी एनालिटिकल एबिलिटी मौजूद है और इस तरह से हमें कोई खत्म नहीं कर सकता। वी आर नॉट गोइंग टू गो एक्सटेंड। तो इस कल्चर की ओर मैं फिर से आभार प्रकट करना चाहूंगा अपने गुरुदेव प्रोफेसर डी सर का कि उन्होंने हमें इस कल्चर को बनाने में के लिए प्रेरित किया है और ये स्टडी जो है, ये स्टडी मटेरियल इवैल्यूएशन से नॉन मटेरियल इवैल्यूएशन की ओर बढ़ती है, क्योंकि असली लॉस ये होता है जो लोग हमारे गुजर गए, जिन्होंने अपना बलिदान दिया, वो तो है, उनके नाम हमें याद है, लेकिन जो हमने जो लूज किया है उसका इवैल्यूएशन हमारे पास नहीं था, किस हद तक लूज किया है और ये कम्युनिटी अभी भी लड़ रही है जो इनके पास बचा है। ये स्टडी क्लियर करती है कि इस कम्युनिटी के पास जो बचा है उसके लिए कम्युनिटी चिंतित है और उसको बचाने की कोशिश कर रही है। तो ओवरऑल दिस स्टडी वाज वेरी एनकरेजिंग। इसने हमारे जो कम्युनिटी में होप थी, इस होप को बढ़ाया है, इस होप को बनाए रखा है। तो ये पता चलता है इससे कि जब हम स्टडी करते हैं तो रिसर्चर और रिसर्च का जो मैं सुपरवाइज कर रहा था गुरटू साहब की रिसर्च का, जो उन्होंने और गुट्टू साहब भी प्रूव करते हैं कि रिसर्च के लिए कोई एज नहीं होती. You can certainly go for the research at any age. और incidentally हमारी जो पहली एनरोलमेंट जॉनराज इंस्टीट्यूट में हुई थी वो कैप्टन तिक्कू थे, कैप्टन एसके तिक्कू, जो कि कम्युनिटी के वैरियर हैं, जिन्होंने काउंटर इंसर्जेंसी में बहुत योगदान दिया है. और वो बताते थे लोगों को कि मैं बूढ़ा होकर इस एज में यहाँ ये सीखने के लिए बैठा हूँ और आप लोग क्यों नहीं कर सकते. तो हमारी कम्युनिटी बहुत इस स्टडी में और जॉनराज इंस्टीट्यूट में आके मुझे पता चला है. मैं खुद डिसअपॉइंटेड था विद द कम्युनिटी कि मतलब ये लोग रिस्पॉन्ड ही नहीं करते. और जब हम रिसर्च को देखते हैं तो यहाँ एनालिस्ट हमारे पास बैठे हैं, हमारे गांव में, बड़गाम में, अनंतनाग में, इन सब जगहों पर ये एनालिस्ट बैठे हैं जो एनालाइज कर सकते हैं, जो कल्चरल लॉस को एनालाइज कर सकते हैं. ये छोटी बात नहीं थी. तो इस रिसर्च ने केवल रिसर्चर को नहीं, उसके सुपरवाइजर को भी एनरिच किया है. तो ये रिसर्च, और फिर मैं कहूंगा कि ये कल्चर प्रोफेसर टीटू गंजू सर का दिया हुआ है कि हम एक सीरीज ऑफ लर्निंग जो है, सीरीज ऑफ लर्निंग, वी आर ऑलवेज लर्निंग, ऑलवेज रेडी टू लर्न. मैंने जो मेरे स्टूडेंट्स हैं जो जॉनराज इंस्टीट्यूट में जिनको पढ़ाया है, उनको उनसे बहुत ही इंसाइट्स लिए हैं. एंड और अब जॉनराज इंस्टीट्यूट इस हद तक पहुंच गया है कि हमारी जो स्टूडेंट विद्यार्थी रही हैं, प्रोफेसर रीनिता मजूमदार, शी इज रनिंग हर ओन जेनोसाइड कोर्स विद स्पेशल रेफरेंस टू जेनोसाइड ऑफ बंगाली हिंदूज. उन्होंने एक कोर्स इसमें रन किया है और वो ऑनलाइन कोर्स है. और उन्होंने इसमें मुझे बुलाया था टू इंट्रोड्यूस हर टीचिंग. वही कल्चर जो टीटू गंजू सर ने क्रिएट किया है, उस कल्चर में वो प्रोफेसर रीनिता मजूमदार भी रंग गई हैं. तो इन दिस वे Jonaraja Institute is is trying to change the academic culture and the social culture also. तो इसके लिए पायनियर होना चाहिए. माँ भगवती ने प्रोफेसर टीटू गंजू को इसके लिए रखा है. तो वो उन्होंने एक बार इंस्पायर किया और फिर वो उनकी आदत है वो अलग रहते हैं. उनका कुछ जैसे उनका कुछ है ही नहीं. ये सब कुछ उन्हीं के आशीर्वाद से है. और आज मैं फिर से एक और बात मेंशन करना चाहूंगा कि हमारे स्टूडेंट इस लायक हो गए हैं कि वो वर्ल्ड प्लेटफॉर्म पर कम्युनिटी को रिप्रेजेंट कर सकते हैं. विश्व रंजन से स्मॉल बॉय, छोटा लड़का है और उसने सक्सेसफुली रिप्रेजेंट किया कम्युनिटी को, वहां पर कम्युनिटी की बात रखी. तो ये रिसर्च ओवरऑल, तो इससे पता चलता है कि रिसर्च जो है, इस तरह की रिसर्च जो जेनोसाइड पर रिसर्च है, ये हर आदमी को एनरिच करती है. और मुझे आशा है कि आप इसको गहराई से पढ़ेंगे, इसको ध्यान से पढ़ेंगे. और जैसा कि कहा गया, ये डॉक्टर महेश कौल ने कहा कि हिंदी अनुवाद भी होना चाहिए, तो हिंदी अनुवाद भी इसका समय पर आ जाएगा. तो आज इसी मौके पर जबकि हमने ये बात की कि हमारे बेस्ट एनालिस्ट गांव में मौजूद हैं, तो मैं इस मौके पर एक घोषणा करते हुए मुझे बहुत हर्ष हो रहा है. बहुत ही हर्ष, मतलब मैं बहुत खुशी से ये घोषणा कर रहा हूँ. हम जॉनराज इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ जेनोसाइड एंड एट्रोसिटी स्टडीज की तरफ से एक महत्वपूर्ण घोषणा करते हैं कि हिस्टोरिक, और इसके पीछे हमारे, मैं गुरु ही कहूंगा उनको, बिहारीलाल कौल जी जो हैं, इनका बहुत ही, मतलब इन्होंने बहुत ही, मैं क्या कहूंगा कि बहुत जोर दिया इस बात पर कि इसको करना चाहिए, इसको किया जाना चाहिए. तो हम इसको आज घोषणा करते हैं जॉनराज इंस्टीट्यूट की तरफ से कि वी टुडे अनाउंस द एस्टेब्लिशमेंट ऑफ एडवोकेट प्रेमनाथ भट्ट चेयर. इसके पीछे डिस्कशंस और डेलिब्रेशंस बिहारीलाल कौल जी के साथ हुई हैं. और पंडित प्रेमनाथ भट्ट एक एनालिस्ट थे, वकील थे, लेकिन एनालिसिस उन्होंने जो दी है कश्मीर पंडित मामलों पर, उसका एक अपना हाथ रहा है, उसका एक अपना योगदान रहा है, लेकिन उन्हें unfortunately we had to lose him. He fell to terrorists, the bullets of terrorists and genocidal terrorists. He fell to their bullets. And what is the aim and what are the aims and objectives of the Premnath Bhat chair? Is that it will focus on social, political, and legal dimensions of genocide and atrocities. So it is, and I again repeat, it will focus on social, political, and legal dimensions of genocide and atrocities with reference to Kashmir or other places also. It's not confined to Kashmir also, though the Kashmir is our focus, but anywhere in the world, legal, social, and political. And इसके साथ ही मैं ये घोषणा करते हुए मुझे बहुत हर्ष हो रहा है कि बिहारीलाल कौल जी ने अपनी स्वीकृति दी है. He is consented to be the head of the chair. So, और मैं ये कहूँगा कि हमारी कश्मीर पंडित कम्युनिटी में इनकी जैसा ओरिजिनल थिंकर और एनालिस्ट जेनोसाइड के बारे में अपना व्यू रखने वाला कोई आदमी नहीं है. और ही इज द ओनली वन, द टीचर, जिन्होंने एजुकेशनल जेनोसाइड पर काम किया है. और इट्स अ प्रोफाउंड वर्क, और इस प्रोफाउंड वर्क को मैं उनसे यहाँ से रिक्वेस्ट करता हूँ स्टेज से कि वो कुछ दिन बाद ही इज गोइंग अब्रॉड, तो वहां पर आप इस काम को जरूर करेंगे, लिख कर इसको लिखेंगे, और पावक विल बी प्लीज टू पब्लिश इट. तो आपको ये करना पड़ेगा. आपने इतने लोगों के सामने ये कहा है, आपको ये करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि वो लगातार मैं उनसे लंबे समय से कहता आ रहा हूँ, लेकिन वो अपनी जो एक्टिविटीज उनकी जो है कम्युनिटी एक्टिविटीज, उसके कारण समय नहीं निकाल पा रहे हैं. बिकॉज नाउ ही इज आउट ऑफ द कंट्री फॉर सम टाइम, नाउ ही विल हैव द टाइम देयर. हालांकि वहां भी वो चुप बैठने वाले नहीं हैं, वहां भी वो किसी न किसी को मतलब अब इन्वॉल्व करेंगे. जो कश्मीर पंडित्स वहां पर हैं वो जरूर करेंगे, कि वो कश्मीर पंडित्स को इन्वॉल्व किए बिना नहीं रहते. So this Premnath Bhat chair is being announced from this platform. So the first fellowship will be granted with an initial grant of rupees 50,000. और fellowship जो है rupees 50,000. और तो fellowship के लिए हमने topic we have decided it will be a SWOT-based study of Kashmiri Pandit leadership in the wake of continual genocide. I repeat, a SWOT-based study of Kashmiri Pandit leadership in the wake of continual genocides. तो यहाँ पर जो लोग बैठे हैं, मैं उनसे अगर रिक्वेस्ट करूं कि क्या कोई इसको इस टॉपिक पर, मैं फिर से टॉपिक पढ़ता हूं, a SWOT-based study of Kashmiri Pandit leadership in the wake of continual genocide. शुरू से आप कहां से लेते हैं, कहां से आप इसका रिसर्च करेंगे, कहां से आप स्टडी करेंगे, यहाँ तक है. तो क्या कोई आप में से इसको करना चाहेगा इस स्टडी को? ये विश्वरंजन, आर यू श्योर? यस श्योर. Nitin also. So again, these two are the alumni of Jonaraja Institute. Thank you very much. So you will talk to me about this. We shall discuss. So this study, so you begin this study because you have got some idea of it, and you begin the study from this very moment. Start thinking. This has been fed into your mind. So with this, I thank you very much. आप यहाँ पर आए, और अभी दत्ता सर भी आए हैं. नमस्कार. So it's a pleasure.
Big clap for Mr.
Big clap, yes, of course, big clap. So it has been a pleasure. It has been very enriching to work with Ravinder Gurtoo ji, and it has been a learning process, really a learning process, to assist and to give him, to empower him जो मोमेंट्स, क्योंकि ऐसे फील्ड स्टडीज में फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग बहुत फ्रस्ट्रेटिंग होता है कि आपके पास लोग रेस्पॉन्ड नहीं करते, क्योंकि आप किसी का गिरेबान पकड़कर ये नहीं कह सकते कि भाई मेरे रेस्पॉन्ड कर तू. वो स्वेच्छा से करेंगे तो तब होगा. तो बट ही हैज बीन वेरी पेशेंट, वेरी कमिटेड. तो इफ ही कैन बी कमिटेड एट दिस एज, एनीबडी बी. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you so much, Gurudev, for that address. I join Dr. Dileep Kaul ji in welcoming Pradeep Datta ji to this occasion. Thank you so much for joining us, means a lot. I have a couple of messages that were extremely encouraging for the Institute that I'd like to read. These were sent to, of course, our founder, Professor Titu Ganguly. The first message I'm going to read is from Dr. Agnishekhar ji, who is the convener of Panun Kashmir. He writes to the Jonaraja Institute. I'll read the letter to you. Dear Titu ji, namaskar. It fills my heart with immense pride and joy to extend the warmest felicitations to you and your team at Jonaraja Institute on the forthcoming release of the research monograph, Decivilisation and Displacement, Indic Perspective on Social Death, authored by Dr. Dileep Kaul and Sri Ravinder Gurtoo on Sunday, 9th November 2025 at the Writers Club, Jammu. The establishment of JIGAS, which is an abbreviation for the Institute, under your visionary leadership stands as a truly historic step. It embodies the spirit of Panun Kashmir's intellectual and civilizational resistance, transforming our collective and historical memory into a serious field of academic reflection and research. By creating a scholarly platform dedicated to genocide and atrocities studies through an Indic lens, you have brought an overdue epistemic balance to a discourse long dominated by Western paradigms. This research monograph in particular is a path-breaking contribution. It does not merely document suffering, it interprets it within the broader framework of Indic philosophy, civilizational ethos, and moral resilience. In doing so, it restores dignity of the victims of genocide by framing their experience not as despair, but as testimony to an enduring civilization that refuses to be erased. My heartiest congratulations to Dr. Dileep Kaul, Sri Ravinder Gurtoo, Srimati Suranda Vasishji, Chairperson JIGAS, and the entire team of Jonaraja Institute for the intellectual labor, devotion, and vision behind this work. The release of Decivilisation and Displacement will, I am confident, mark a turning point in how the world perceives and studies the genocide of Kashmiri Hindus and similar civilizational traumas. It is deeply regrettable that I will be unable to attend the release function in person as I am currently outside India. However, my heart and spirit will be with you all on this momentous occasion. Please convey my blessings and warm regards to all those who have contributed to this endeavor. This initiative reinforces that our movement is not just political, but also civilizational, moral. The work you are leading ensures that the idea of Panun Kashmir continues to resonate not only in the hearts of the displaced people, but also in the halls of academia and the conscience of the world. Wishing you a grand, meaningful, and thought-provoking launch event. May this be the beginning of many more scholarly milestones under the banner of Jonaraja Institute. With deep appreciation and warm regards, Dr. Agnishekhar, convener from Kashmir. A huge round of applause for that overwhelming encouragement to the Institute and the work it is doing. There's another message that I'd like to read, which came from a leader who's one of a kind and somebody who has contributed to Kashmir like nobody else. Captain S.K. Tikkuji, who, as Dr. Dileep has already mentioned, was the first enrollment of Jonaraja Institute. He was the first student in that sense to enroll for the genocide course. And he has sent his message. He says, "It gives me immense pride and pleasure to learn that Jonaraja Institute is hosting such an event where luminaries will throw light on a subject that should have been a matter of concern for the hapless community from day one. However, it is never too late. I wish I could make it. My good wishes and tons of blessings, Captain Tikku. A huge round of applause. That encouragement really means a lot to us. It's like a blessing that will encourage us to keep working in the same direction with the same energy and the same culture that we follow in the Institute. I was reading the study on my way to Jammu, and it was an experience of its own kind. The kind of work that Ravinder ji has particularly done and the way Dileep ji has contributed to it. जब हम ये इंडिक लेंस और इंडिक पर्सपेक्टिव की बात कर रहे थे, मैं एक हल्का सा आपको एक झलक बताऊंगा कि इस रिसर्च स्टडी में एक अनोखी चीज क्या है जो इससे पहले शायद हमको उस तरीके से पढ़ने को, सीखने को, देखने को नहीं मिली होगी। इसमें एक कॉन्सेप्ट जिसे देशाचार कहा जाता है उसकी बात की गई है और उस पर बहुत जोर दिया गया है। और एक कॉन्सेप्ट है सोशल डेथ का जिसपे बहुत जोर दिया गया है। और इस पूरी स्टडी में these concepts and these phenomena keep repeating, and there are various perspectives that build on them. देशाचार की जब हम बात करते हैं तो इसमें बहुत ब्रिलियंट बात यह है कि ये महज किसी एक कल्चर की इंडिपेंडेंटली बात नहीं करता। और देशाचार भी पंडित जोनराज ने, if I'm not mistaken, Pandit Jonaraja was the first to write about Deshachar, to coin the word Deshachar.
कश्मीर देशाचार नाम ध्वंसो अथवा
यवनकृता,
यवनों ने कश्मीर के देशाचार का ध्वंस।
Right. And Deshachar, by Deshachar he meant the lived life, the culture in a place. Desh as a word is a place that contains that culture, an ecology that is an integral part of the observance or the performance of the tradition, the rituals and the culture. So when we look at culture, and why I am talking about this is because it's so important to understand the phenomena of Deshachar. It gives you a new kind of consciousness, a new kind of perspective when you look at culture. हमारी community में भी ये बहुत discourse है कि there are many kinds of discourses, but the two broad discourses is that some people feel कि हमारा culture खत्म हो रहा है, and some people, which I agree with to a large extent, feel that probably now in exile we have the kind of freedom that we did not perhaps have in Kashmir to freely experience our culture, to do programs like these, and to really work on the resurgence of our culture and tradition and rituals, which probably we did not have the kind of freedom that we would have loved to have in Kashmir that we have now. तो इसमें ये अलग-अलग तरह के perspectives हैं, लेकिन जिस बात पे मैं आप सबको लाना चाहता हूँ वो ये है that when we talk about protection of culture, both these segments of people who believe that culture khatam ho raha hai, it's getting eroded, or people who feel that now we are really working on it, the whole intention is to protect culture at the end of the day, whether we are able to do that or not. And I must mention, Hanglu Saab, your work to protect culture has been inspiring. Radio Sharda has really played a pioneering role in that. We have Sanjay Pandita sir with us, who has worked on the revival of Sharda script. I'm sure there are more people. We have Sanjay Raina ji, and many more people who have worked on the protection of culture. They've not just spoken about it; they have really worked on it. लेकिन इसमें देशाचार का फिनोमेना मैं यहाँ पे इस पे लेके आ रहा हूँ कि जब हम देशाचार की बात करते हैं तो उसमें place becomes the central figure. So when we study this research paper, we come to know कि हम कितनी ही कोशिश कर ले अपना कल्चर बचाने की, अगर हम प्लेस की मेमोरी, अगर हम देश की मेमोरी, देश की पहचान, देश की मेमोरी, देश की कॉन्शियसनेस को इंटेग्रल कंपोनेंट ना समझते हुए कल्चर को बचाने की कोशिश करें तो शायद हम अनसक्सेसफुल हो सकते हैं। जब भी हम, चाहे हमारी हेरत हो जो महाशिवरात्रि होती है, या कोई भी गाड़बत होता है, या कोई भी होता है, this research, when I was going through it, it made me realize how important is it to talk about the spaces where we would, perform these rituals, and how important is it to impart that knowledge and memory to the coming generations, to the progeny. For example, जैसे हमारे घर में शिवरात्रि होती है, my grandmother or my parents would tell us, यहाँ गाड़बत होता है, so they would tell me, we would go to the attic and keep the rice plate and with fish and everything. So I know that there is a dedicated spot in our home in Kashmir where that activity would happen. This is where Deshachar comes in. So that's the beauty of this research, that it makes us realize that if we talk about place in every discourse that revolves and rotates around culture, probably क्या मैं तो बोलूंगा 100% we will be successful in culture, because we are protecting the memory of the place where it comes from, the vessel which contains that culture. अगर हम उस बर्तन की मेमोरी भी बचा के रखेंगे तो उसके अंदर का जो घड़े के अंदर पानी है वो तो बच ही जाएगा. And that brings us to a very important concept and phenomena of exile consciousness. हम exile consciousness की बात करते हैं, especially the generation which was born post 1990. I was born after 1990. Until and unless I don't realize that I am, since my birth, deprived to go to my home, until and unless I am not made to realize कि जब मेरा जन्म हुआ तब से आज तक I have been waiting to be brought to my own home from the hospital. The sense of deprivation of not just being at home but the nostalgia. I was deprived of my nostalgia in the backyard of my home. This is what the consciousness of Deshachar probably gives us. It gives us exile consciousness. And the exile consciousness then gives us another consciousness which I would love to term homeland consciousness. जब आपको ये रियलाइज होगा कि आप एग्जाइल में हो, तभी आप एक होमलैंड की कल्पना कर सकते हो और तभी आप उसकी डिमांड कर सकते हो, उसे अपनी आत्मा में जगह दे सकते हो और उसके लिए काम कर सकते हो. And these things then translate to action, which then translate to the realization of the dream, a dream like homeland. This is the importance of research studies like this. ये हमारी अंतर आत्मा में इन बातों को का घर करते हैं, हमारे जहन में, हमारी चेतना में इन बातों को उतारते हैं और उसके बाद then those realizations translate into action and ultimately into realization of our dreams. On that note, I'd like to invite the conductor and the researcher of this paper, Shri Ravinder Gurtoo ji, to kindly come to the dais and address the audience. Thank you so much.
Respected, esteemed guests, कस लीचिक बल बागी तोहमत कलमकारन तिजाति कार बदले बुथन छुन त्राम गोमुत यथै वनै क्या बुथन छुन त्राम गोमुत यथै वनै क्या अछन मज प्रथ अकिस आसार बदले तिमवनी यखमुश थपि मेवन प्रजनत तिमवनी यखमुश थपि मेवन प्रजनत तो मेवनिस आसनस इनकार बदले छवान छुन व्यथित कोर तकसीर तोबा छवान छुन व्यथित कोर तकसीर तोबा चौपा से तुम ये तिनार बदले वने क्या म्यानी शाहरिक लोग सुंदर वने क्या म्यानी शाहरिक लोग सुंदर मगर बोझुम युमन अतवार बदले वक्त बदले लुकन अनहार बदले तो वर्ता वस अंदर व्यवहार बदले Times have changed, people have changed, but truth must stand firm even when seasons shift. These lines carry the spirit of our joint work that was not written out of comfort but out of compulsion, the compulsion to remember. This study is not merely a collection of research, facts, and documents. It's the journey through silence. The silence of homes being left behind. When we began this work, we did not imagine it as a book or as a monograph. It began as a search to understand that how genocide has influenced our lives and civilization. How does a community sustain its identity when its geography is completely erased? What happens to culture, to language, to traditions, to history, to survival, to moral confidence when exile becomes a permanent address? Through the course of this research, I realized that genocide of Kashmiri Pandits was not only a human tragedy, it was civilizational rupture. It destroyed not only homes, but heritage, continuity, and confidence. For a long time, a person like me, for a long time, the word genocide for me was just an 8-letter word which meant for me something like pain inflicted by the perpetrators. I never looked beyond that. I never realized the depth of what it has done to us as a people. I honestly apologize for spending decades in exile without understanding the real damage. Then came a turning point. The birth of Jonaraja Institute of Genocide and Atrocities Studies. When I joined, the first 3 lectures went over my head. I was hearing truths I had never known. But slowly as I listened and learned, I began to see exile not only as a tragedy, but as a civilizational wound. I realized that the genocide is not just the killing of people. It is killing of time, memory, and continuity. It erases not only lives, but also what those lives could have created. Their songs, their stories, their wisdom, and their worship. Friends, our study titled Decivilisation and Displacement, Indic Reflections on Social Death, is a reflection of our collective journey as Kashmiri Pandits. When a civilization is uprooted, what happens is not just displacement, it is decivilization. a slow breaking down of culture, language, and memory. And when that happens, what follows is social death. A death that is not physical, but emotional and cultural. This study explores that how exile has changed our mind, our behavior, our identity. I have tried to capture not only the visible visible losses, but also the invisible pains, forgotten rituals, fading memories, and quiet suffering of elders and youth alike. I will not go into the details of this research as Dr. Dileep Kaul has already explained the academic and research aspects in detail. But I do wish to share one line from the book, which I believe captures the essence. When truth is buried under convenience, memory becomes the last act of courage. I repeat, when truth is buried, when the truth is buried under convenience, memory becomes the last act of courage. That courage to remember, to write, and to speak. This is what this study stands for. My deepest gratitude goes to Dr. Dileep Kaul, Director of Jonaraja Institute and my guide. He became a catalyst in my journey, inspiring, motivating, guiding me at every step. There were days when I worked as a scrap collector, going from one household to another, gathering fragments of pain from different families. It was exhausting and sometimes very, very humiliating. But Dileep gave meaning to every story I heard. He helped me to weave these broken pieces into something meaningful. Without him, this study would have not been possible. My heartfelt thanks to Sri Kitu Ganjuji, founder and former chairperson of Jonaraja Institute, a master in genocide studies. He not only taught me, but provoked me many times, provoked me to think deeper, to challenge assumptions, and to believe that documenting truth is possible and very, very necessary. I also thank Mrs. Sunanda Vashishji, chairperson of Jonaraja Institute, who could not be here today. Her powerful address at United Nations was a turning point for me. She made me realize what we have truly lost. Not just our homes, but our heritage and dignity as civilization. And to my fellow batchmates, I think some of them are here also, thank you. I was often a silent listener in the class, but every question you asked and every answer the teachers gave helped me learn faster than I could speak. Your curiosity became my classroom. And finally, my gratitude to everyone present here, scholars, friends, well-wishers, family, and those who have contributed in making this study possible. I thank you for being a part of this moment of remembrance. Let this work not just be read, but felt. Because memory, after all, is not a burden, it's a bridge back to truth. To me, this release is not a celebration. It is a renewal of a promise. A promise that we will not let our story vanish into statistics and footnotes. A promise that our children, like my daughter Vitasta, will grow up knowing the river her name comes from, and civilization it once nourished. Today, as I hold this small volume, I do so not as an author, but as a witness of a community that lived through exile with dignity, that carried its civilization in suitcases from one place to another. I realized that our genocide did not end in 1990. It continues even today. Through denial, through silence, and through false narratives. Yes, we have rebuilt houses and lives, but the search for home continues. We have succeeded in professions, but we are still aching for the belongings. We live on, but a part of us still remains frozen into that night of 1990. Yes, despite all this, we did not vanish. Our faith survived, our will survived, our civilization, though wounded, still breathes through us. Through this research, we have tried to give voice to both our pain and pulse. It is not just a study, it is a testimony, a remembrance, and an honest appeal. Before I conclude, I bow with deep respect before Jonaraja Institute, the institution that gave me courage to turn pain into purpose and exile into expression. As this work soon reaches the public domain, I only hope it reminds the world that truth must be remembered. We, the victims of genocide, do not seek sympathy. We don't want sympathy. We seek acknowledgement, understanding, and justice. Because only when truth is spoken, healing can begin. यहाँ दो पंक्तियां शेर की अर्ज करना चाहता हूं। इस तरह मुस्काए जाते हैं, हम गमों को छुपाए जाते हैं। इस तरह मुस्काए जाते हैं, हम गमों को छुपाए जाते हैं। आ न जाए तुम्हारे आंसू, आंसू सुखाए जाते हैं। दोष हम पर लग न सके कोई, दोष हम पर लग न सके कोई, दर्द को दबाए जाते हैं। जिंदगी बेफल हुई जब से लाश अपनी उठाए जाते हैं। Thank you all once again for listening, for standing with truth, and for keeping the memory of our civilization alive. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gurtoo Sahib. I literally had at least 5 to 7 goosebumps listening to you. Thank you so much for that address and for the research. There are some notable personalities who I'd like to especially say thank you to for their participation and for them to take time and grace the occasion. We have Sri Dileep Panditaji from Mata Bhadrakali Trust. We have Sri Shadilal Kaulji, who is the General Secretary of Premnath Bhat Memorial Trust, which also reminds me that I need to supplement the announcement that's already been made by Dileepji about the chair, the Pandit Premnath Bhat Memorial Chair, that the trust is going to organize an event on the 27th of December as the Chetna Divas. And we announced that Jonaraja Institute will completely, fully and totally support that event, and we will participate in that session as well. We also have among us Shri Ramesh Hangluji, who is the director of Radio Sharda. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Shri Shibanji Kandru, who is the chairman of Nagbal Prabandhak Committee, Anantnag. We have Shri B.L. Jalali ji from the Rainawari Action Committee with us. We have Sanjay Raina ji, who's a very renowned scholar with us. Of course, one of the tallest figures among us is Shri Shan Saab. मैं आपका पूरा नाम लेते हुए भी मुझे ये होता है, but thank you so much for gracing the occasion and for blessing us. And I apologize if I'm missing some names. Thank you so much, all of you, once again for joining. We'll take the proceedings forward. There are very few people in political spheres, this is my personal observation. राजनीति में जब किसी समाज से कोई व्यक्ति एक प्रतिनिधि बन के जाता है, एक नेता के रूप में नेतृत्व करता है, बहुत कम लोग होते हैं जो एक समाज में बहुत ग्राउंड से, people who really rise from the ground with all their devotion and activism and belief and conviction and integrity and honesty, जो फिर इंटीग्रेट होते हैं एक पॉलिटिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में या किसी पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम में. There are very few people जो अपनी who don't forget where they rose from, and there are fewer people than them who represent the people, the community they come from in the political organization, and not just the political organization within the community. ऐसे बहुत कम लोग होते हैं, और हमारे बीच एक ऐसे नेता आज मौजूद हैं जो हमेशा कश्मीरी पंडित समाज की बात रखते आए हैं. I'd like to welcome him with a huge round of applause, Shri Surinder Ambardas ji, who is a former MLC. Thank you so much for your presence. Kindly address the audience. Thank you.
नमस्कार. इस मंच पर विराजमान डॉक्टर दिलीप कौल जी, श्री रविंद्र गुर्टू जी, प्रोफेसर साहब, डॉक्टर अरविंद किरवानी जी, और मेरे सामने प्रोफेसर आदिल शाह साहब, प्रोफेसर जित्सी साहब, चिल्ड्रंस फ्रेटर्निटी के आइकॉन दत्ता साहब, सभी भाई बहनों, ये विषय बहुत ही गंभीर है और चेतनाजनक है. और ऐसी परिस्थिति में हम लोग राजनीति कार्यकर्ता हैं और सहज राजनीति कार्यकर्ता हैं. समाज राष्ट्र के लिए थोड़ा तप किया है, पर इतने गंभीर विषयों को लेकर ग्रहण कर सकते हैं और ऐसे विषयों को लेकर सीखने का प्रयास है. लूथर मार्टिन किंग जूनियर का एक स्टेटमेंट था 19वीं शताब्दी में. पहली बार सारी दुनिया में एक गूंज खड़ी होगी जब उसने कहा कि आई हैव ए ड्रीम. और देखा जाए तो उसका असर जो था सारे विश्व भर में हुआ, जो एक रेसिज्म के अगेंस्ट फासिस्ट ने एक डिस्क्रिमिनेशन का एटीट्यूड खासकर वेस्ट में था, उसके अगेंस्ट वो स्लोगन था. और मैं सच बताऊं कि सिविलाइजेशनल एक्सोडस के बाद पहली बार जो मुझे लगा कि काश हमारा भी कोई ड्रीम होता। और जो यहाँ चर्चा हुई कि जब 27 दिसंबर 1991 को मार्गदर्शन का रेजोल्यूशन पास हुआ, तो मुझे लगा कि वी हैव अ ड्रीम। And it was not about the physical entity, it was definitely about the political expression. It was about the pain, the pathetic situations. शायद वो अगर हम बहुत नजदीक से देखें तो उस मार्गदर्शन के रेजोल्यूशन में जो हमारे एक्सप्रेशंस थे, वो भारतीय नीति शास्त्र का जो भारत मुनि का जो ज्ञान था वो भी उसमें छुपा था। अगर हम सूर्य मंदिर के आर्कियोलॉजिकल इनोवेशंस की बात करें, अगर आर्कियोलॉजिकल इनोवेशंस की बात करें तो शायद वो भी उसमें समा हुआ था। शायद वासुगुप्त के शिव सूत्र और आचार्य अग्निगुप्त का जो फिलोसॉफिकल एक्सप्रेशन था वो भी उसी में था। पतंजलि के ऋषि पतंजलि का जो योग शास्त्र था वो भी उसी में छुपा था। और मुझे लग रहा था तब कि हम में से तो बड़े सारे कृपाराम तब मौजूद थे, अब भी हैं, और मुझे लगा तब भी कि आज कोई न कोई कृपाराम जाके गुरु तेग बहादुर से मिलकर अपनी जो हमारी संस्कृति कहीं कष्ट में है उसका निवारण कर ली जाएगी। शायद कृपाराम हो सकता था पर गुरु तेग बहादुर जी नहीं थे। और आज भी अगर 35 साल के बाद भी बीरबल दर्जी के अपने बच्चे को गिरवी रखने का जो सुकर्म किया था पर मान मिला था, और महाराजा रणजीत सिंह ने उसका मान रखकर उस समय की परिस्थितियों में जो योगदान हुआ वो भी उसका भी इतिहास साक्षी है। और आज जब प्रोफेसर साहब ने ये कॉल दी कि प्रोफेसर साहब इस जो आपने कहा कि सचमुच में अब इस हमारे कश्मीरी हिंदू पंडित समाज को इंस्टीट्यूशनलाइज करना चाहिए और ये बहुत बड़ी बात है। और इस कॉल के साथ दिस कॉल नीड्स मोर अटेंशन एंड सेंसिटिविटी, क्योंकि ये 35 साल का अनुभव तो हमारे सामने है, हम सब लगभग इसके विटनेस हैं। और मैं शायद कश्मीर से निकलने वाला शायद आखिरी कार्यकर्ता हूँ जिसने बहुत गहराई से और नजदीकी से अपने घर को उल्टे देखा है। और बाकी आप सब भी, आप भी हर एक कहानी के लिए अपनी अपनी कहानी के लेखक हैं। वो अनुभव ग्रहण करके, पर भविष्य के गर्भ में क्या होगा वो भविष्य जानेगा। और आज मैं समझता हूँ कि ये पल है, ये पल बहुत कीमती है। इस पल में हम दोबारा रीएनर्जाइज होके अपनी कहानी को सिर्फ दुनिया को सामने न रखकर इस कहानी में रंग भर के जो हमारी संस्कृति है और वो हमारी मिट्टी, हमारी जो रूट्स हैं उनके साथ कैसे जुड़ेगी, उसमें मैं समझता हूँ कि कुछ महानुभावों का मतभेद भी हो सकता है, पर प्रधानमंत्री जी का एक स्टेटमेंट आया था कि दैट जो नया कश्मीर है और नया कश्मीर की जो उनकी इमेजिनेशन और विजन है कि कश्मीर भविष्य में एक सबसे प्योरेस्ट और डेस्टिनी, पीसफुल डेस्टिनी और प्रॉस्परस डेस्टिनी होगी। अगर ये सत्य है तो मैं मानता हूँ कि कश्मीरी पंडितों के बगैर उनके सम्मानित योगदान और वहाँ रेस्टिट्यूशन के बगैर ये नहीं हो सकता है। इसलिए शायद प्रधानमंत्री जी ने ये सोच कर भी कहा होगा कि इस समाज, इस ज्ञान प्रबोधिनी समाज के वहाँ दोबारा सम्मान सहित उनके रख कर ही कश्मीर का एक पीसफुल डिस्ट्रिक्ट हो सकता है। आज जो जोनराज जेनोसाइड स्टडीज इंस्टीट्यूशन ने एक ये पहल की है, तो मैं समझता हूँ कि ये एक बहुत ही बड़ा जयघोष है। और इस जयघोष में हम जब भी कहेंगे, मैं तो ये मतलब डर लगता है मुझे कि मैं इसका एलुमनी हूँ, पर मैं अभी कुछ नहीं सीख पाया हूँ। मैं डॉक्टर महेश जी से, डॉक्टर दिलीप कौल जी से, डॉक्टर टिटू से ये प्रार्थना जरूर करूँगा कि मेरा जो एलुमनीशिप है इसको एक दोबारा स्वीकार करके मुझे कुछ न कुछ ज्ञान, कुछ न कुछ शिक्षा देने की दोबारा कृपा करें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सुरेंद्र जी आपके एड्रेस के लिए। और जब आप इस तरह बात करते हैं, स्पेशली जब आप हमारे होमलैंड के ड्रीम के बारे में, आप मार्गदर्शन के बारे में बात करते हैं, तो हमें बार बार ये विश्वास मिलता है कि हाँ, कोई है एक इतने बड़े संगठन में जिनका कन्विक्शन और उनकी इंटेग्रिटी अभी भी इतनी बनी हुई है और जो हमारी बात कहीं तक पहुंचा पाते हैं। तो आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपके कन्विक्शन के लिए और आपके इस समर्थन के लिए जो हमें ऐसी आशा और विश्वास देता है। मैं अब आमंत्रित करना चाहूंगा श्री अरविंद करवानी जी को, जो कि रिलीफ एंड रिहैबिलिटेशन कमिश्नर हैं। बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट और रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी से भरी कुर्सी पे किरवानी साहब आप विराजमान हैं। मैं चाहूंगा कि आप एड्रेस करें और आपको जोनराज इंस्टीट्यूट के काम के बारे में, इस रिसर्च स्टडी के बारे में आपके क्या व्यूज हैं, सबके सामने रखें। करवानी साहब, थैंक यू सो मच।
नमस्कार सारनी, मंच पर बैठे महानुभाव सुरेंद्र मदार जी, डॉक्टर दिलीप जी, रविंद्र गुर्टू जी, डॉक्टर महेश जी और सामने बैठे सभी महानुभाव, इट्स अ ग्रेट ऑनर एंड प्रिविलेज टू बी हियर, जिसके लिए मैं जोनराजा इंस्टीट्यूट को दिल की गहराई से धन्यवाद करता हूं कि मुझे जो मैंने सुना था उसको यहाँ पर फील करने का भी मौका दिया। आई एम लीस्ट क्वालिफाइड टू स्पीक ऑफ द लास्ट, तो बीच में चीफ गेस्ट, तो इट्स आई डोंट थिंक आई एम क्वालिफाइड फॉर दैट। कि यहाँ जितने भी सामने और इस मंच पर जो लोग बैठे हैं, जो अपने अपने फील्ड में हाईली क्वालिफाइड है और जिन्होंने ऐसे काम किया, मैं ये कहूँगा कि एक मुझे याद आ रहा है किस्सा, डॉक्टर सतीश धवन और डॉक्टर APJ कलाम के बीच का किस्सा 1979-80 का, जब इंडिया का सैटेलाइट SLV-3 failed and it landed in Bay of Bengal. Dr. Satish Dhawan was the head of the ISRO, and Dr. Kalam, he was heading that project. So everybody was expecting that Dr. Kalam will go and face the brick bats, because media was like waiting like, sorry, there's a lot of media around, don't take it otherwise. They're waiting to pound upon him. But he didn't let Dr. Kalam go there. He told Dr. Dhawan to go there, and in fact, Dr. Dhawan went to address the media there.
And later, in 1980, when the launch was successful, Dr. Kalam was again expecting that Dr. Dhawan will address the press conference. But when the launch was successful, Dr. Dhawan told Dr. Kalam, this is your day, you go and lead. You speak to the media today. And this was a great lesson on the leadership. I'm referring this in the context of the people who are sitting there on the fourth, fifth bench here. Dr. Ganju, the founder of this institute, and many luminaries here who are working behind the curtains in this great mission. They are our Sadiq Downs. Starting with that note, I think the powerful keynote address that Dr. Mahesh gave, 3-4 important points that I could note. One, that from Jagti to New Jersey, we are one. Pain is one. Even Holocaust, I could, when the speakers were speaking, I was trying to keep one ear to the speaker and also went through the monograph. The pain of Holocaust victim or our pain is no different. Methods applied, local context applied. Naturally, you have to customize to the local things. The Indo-centric studies, you have to apply those methods, those tools to these studies. Every context is different, but the pain is universal. As a student of life science, I can say, we all have those neurotransmitters, neuroreceptors. We all human beings have one. Pain is one, and pain is universal. Long back, I had interest in this Holocaust, reading books about Holocaust. The few books that have left a very deep impression on me. One was Man's Search for Meaning, by Dr. Frankel. And I could relate his story to my story. Every person sitting in this hall feels the pain. We have all gone through this pain. Expression may be different. We may use the best of adjectives to describe it, or we may not be. Even non-verbal communication sometimes speaks powerfully than verbal communication. In that book, Man's Search for Meaning, the author, the survival of the Holocaust in an Austrian camp, he went through that turmoil. He was one fine day, he was a psychiatrist. He was captured and taken to the concentration camp. He was told to get stripped, take a shower and leave. He was not knowing where he will be led. And then he was given a number. Prisoner number so and so. And every person there had a number. No name, no identity. He lost his identity, everything. Then in that camp, he says his experiences there. And the study that he made there, without using any pen, just his mind. Later he wrote a book on it. One of the beautiful books in the Holocaust literature. He said that the survivors of that camp, majority of them were those who shared others' pain, who gave hope to the others, who shared their breadcrumbs with the others. They were the survivors. They had hope. And that is the, the conclusion at which the study concludes. The hope that we are not going to get extinct. We will survive, we will come out strongly. We have that resilience. We have suffered it for 7 centuries, and we should be proud of the fact that we are the descendants of Sri Simha Bhat and many others like him. That's why we are standing here with whatever identity, whatever culture, whatever faith we have. It is thanks to them that they resisted and they didn't succumb to what was happening that time. Jonaraja, as rightly described by the experts, is the father of the genocide studies. Jati Vidvans or Deshichara, that has been described in this work. He has coined these terms 7 centuries back. And as I could gather, genocide is only a part of the larger picture, Jati Vidvans. And Dr. Mahesh in his keynote laid emphasis on diversifying. I think this is the time. The time of 90 was the survival, the basic survival, the question of basic survival. Now is the time to diversify, to reclaim what was lost, and not only to reclaim what was lost, but to make a mark further for our kids, for our coming generations. And only one field he left was administration. He spoke, we need historians, we need academicians and so on. But we need administrators also. We need to be in every field. We need to be in every field to show our existence, to show our strength. So to show to the world our resilience. I am a proud member of the community, which I can say in a very brief period has tried to be back on its feet. And it's no mean achievement.
Right.
Another book that I recollect was The Happiest Man on Earth by Adi Jacob. The same, he was also a Holocaust victim and he survived the camp. And what he did, he gave a mantra to himself. He said, every day, I will make a pledge to myself and to those around me that I will be happy, I will survive this. And he said it even when he was taken to the death line. Fortunately for him, that day he survived. Otherwise, he was taken to be killed. But he survived to tell the story. And there are many such stories. Unfortunately, what happened in 89-90, that has not reached the popular imagination like the Holocaust has. Popular imagination of the country, of the diaspora, of the world. Where so many good books, so many movies, Holocaust, everyone must have been Escape from Sobibor, The Great Escape, The Conspiracy. We all know the classics, The Schindler's List, The Grand Finale. There are so many movies, so many books we remember because they have captured the popular imagination. It should not be confined to the intellectual circles. You must reach the popular masses to tell them the story and in their language also only. There was a suggestion that this should be translated into Hindi. It should be translated into vernacular language. It should reach the people. They should know about it. I'm again very grateful to Jonaraja Institute and in particular Dr. T2G for inviting me here and to be part of this. And whatever I went through, quickly went through this monograph, I could feel like the naming of this nomenclature thing. Radio Kashmir, well, All India Radio was everywhere, why Radio Kashmir here? Such like things. Maybe they look very innocuous,
to a person who is not there at the ground, who is not feeling these sensitivities, to an outsider, I must say, it will look pretty innocuous. But this was not happening. This didn't happen one fine day in 89-90. It was building up over the years. That's what I mean to say. The loss of cultural identity is the biggest loss. There's a reference in this study of social death. I think social death is more painful than the physical death. The loss of your Deshacha. I'm very privileged to be here with Dr. Ratanlal Sham, who has been referred many times in this study. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you so much, T2G in particular. Thank you, Jonaraja. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you so much, Karwani Saab, for that address. It was really heartening listening to you, especially because you mentioned the importance of nomenclature. You really focused on the importance of nomenclature and the need to have administrators from the community and members from the community in all fields, whether it's politics, whether it's administration, whether it's academia. And I was just thinking to myself that that exactly is the aim and objective of Jonaraja Institute. The change in the nomenclature, the official recognition of genocide by the Indian state, under which your good office falls. I was just imagining to myself that there must be a day very soon. I would wish that you yourself do it, that every time you sign a migration certificate for a student who goes out, it should be a reality very soon that you yourself in the same chair should be signing a genocide survival certificate. That will be a real contribution of an administrator in that chair. And that is precisely the work that Jonaraja Institute does. We are here to provide every single document, every single record, this entire work, this research study, and there are many more coming. We have so many research-based articles already published in PAWOK. Everything is at your disposal if you come forward and help us with the official recognition of the genocide. That will be a real contribution. And I'm very thankful, and I'm so happy to hear the kind of comprehension and the films that you mentioned. I was really moved that at least there is somebody in the chair who is responsible, who is so dutiful, and who understands the nuances of such a heinous crime and what really the victims and survivors deserve. It was really heartening to listen to that. I'm again thankful to everyone who participated today. I'll again invite Head of Professor M.K. Teng Chair and the organizer of today's event, Dr. Mahesh Kaulji, to kindly come and give the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Vote of thanks is the most difficult phase, I think, because I think there is nobody to thank, because we are all genocide survivors. So it's just acknowledgement that we are witness to this event.
Yes.
But for the sake of formality, for the sake of protocol, I thank Dr. Ravinder Gurtoo, our very own Shri Surendra, Dr. Dileep Kaul, Gurtoo Sahab. But the parting words I must say that there was one very important aspect which was touched in this study was about the singing in the marriage. That's very important. The marriage season is going on, perhaps. We used to have traditional Hinze and all that has been mentioned in this It has Vedic connotations, Vedic origins, like we have Kashmiri Ramayana. But unfortunately, the enemy is operating in such a way that we invite the subversive singing and dancing, which has been rightly interpreted as tribal celebration. Because I told in the beginning that we are a water civilization, we are being forced to adopt a desert civilization, knowingly or unknowingly. And recently I visited some marriage, of I was very shocked. The open serving of the liquor in the receptions. Open. Tell me one instance. We are talking about Deshachar, Jati Vidvans and all that. Tell me one instance where we used to serve the liquor in the receptions. This is all happening in the sake of modernity and show off our inferiority complex. If we want to maintain this Deshachar, we have to look back, retrospect में देखना पड़ेगा. हम लोगों के लिए परेशानी क्रिएट करते हैं जो हमारे समाज में लास्ट लाइन में बेचारे खड़े. Genocide is not a celebration, living is a celebration. हमें घर से शुरुआत करनी पड़ेगी. Please be disciplined. We are losing the sense of discipline in the community, and that's what enemy is wanting out of you. This will prolong your genocide. Serving liquors, inviting tribal dances of the jihadi pattern in your marriages. Aswaran haunus hunzam. Becha esmas ke kamzu hun. Yim khum karanch. Timan perchi nazar tha. But crude language sunan man kanzu hun ni shuju ba khabar. Tel ke serving khum kaam. Namaskar.
Mahesh and all the distinguished speakers and the members of the community. Thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts from the Jonaraja Institute. We conclude this event here, and I invite you all to have some refreshments and tea that's being served outside. Thank you so much. Thank you.